How's everybody doing? We're working on this R50 cooling fan. Not a fun deal. I think we got all the parts maybe, and I got a service manual coming. Uh, I've got a book, but it's a little bit older book, and it's kind of things ain't the same on it for some reason. I'll look in it tonight and see if I can get more of the stuff off. Maybe. But anyways, I've been. I'll see if I can switch this thing around. I normally don't like videotaping myself, but I think this is probably a good one for anybody that uh, rents a farm is on or is trying to grow their operation. You know, an extra 100 acres or 200 acres means the world to them. And after this fall, I mean, it just makes a big difference. It doesn't matter if it's custom work, if it's rented ground. It makes a difference to a small farm. I mean, I farm roughly about 500 acres. Got cattle. I don't know, we got 27, 28 head. And I mean, that helps books out, but pasture land, I mean, yeah, you can farm more out of pasture land most years, but cattle been pretty good. And with down crop prices and stuff, I mean, it makes all in high inputs, it just makes everything unsustainable, especially if you're living off the farm. And that's what I do. I mean, I live off the farm, so I've got to have so many acres to cover to pay my expenses to keep the equipment going. And it's I hope this gets shared because I'm in an area that unless you're a certain name and certain person, you don't get nothing. You can go out and work your tail off and do everything right, try to do everything right, try to treat people right, and you don't get nothing. And we've got we've got a few operators. If things keep going and things keep going, I mean, if everything happens like what's been happening, we won't have but 20 farmers left in the county. And people might think I'm exaggerating, but there's been a few farmers retire this year, and who gets all the ground? It's not anybody that's running 500 acres. They're running 4, 5, 6,000 acres, and it really puts a strain mentally and financially on the smaller guys because we don't have the full capital some of these other guys have. And I'm not going to say I don't. I mean, Dad passes away. We got roughly 900 acres here. That's a good start. But even at that, my operation personally is so far behind on upgrading, doing field work, getting buildings put up. I mean, you name it, just around the farmstead, that it's going to take so much. It'll just take so much capital. I can't go out and buy more ground. I can't go out and afford it because a lot of ground around here is bringing 10 to 15,000 an acre for decent ground, and if it's poor ground, it's still bringing 7 to 8. And we've got a piece of land that's coming up next to us, and I mean, I bet we're going to have to, I doubt I'll be able to buy it. I'd love to, but it's just pasture. and that's what it's for. I mean, it's pasture ground, and you're going to be talking 7, 8, 9,000 for pasture. I mean, if I bought it, some of it would get farmed because it would extend the field out. My biggest field that I have, it would extend it out, make it another 10, 15 acres. But the rest of it, I mean, it's pasture. Uh, that's what it is. So, it's hard to justify that. You just go and take, I don't know. I might net $50 an acre this year on stuff. Net. So that's combine, everything, insurance, but that's not living expenses. That's just farm costs. So I have to live off of $50 an acre. So margins are tight. If you own the ground, it's a little bit better. But if not, for guys like me, if you don't have an in-town job, there's no way you can make it out here. And of course, I've got some debt that I probably shouldn't have, but still, take all that away, take the custom way, I still can't make it off 500 acres hardly. So, if you're a landlord or something or looking to rent out, go find you a smaller guy. I mean, most of you guys do your homework. I think most of you do. He might not get everything out the fastest. He might not do everything exactly how you want it done. But if you have 2, 3, 400 acres and he's only farming 2, 3, 400 acres, it might be a good idea to check him out, because it would possibly, it might prolong things in the end, on the elimination of the small farmer, which I think is going on. But it gives somebody else a chance at least. And, right now, if you had a wife, kids, it takes about 1,500 acres to survive if your wife works at home. I mean, if she's a stay-at-home wife. Maybe even close to 2,000 acres. Because, I mean, I don't have health insurance myself. I lost it. I can't afford it. So, and I'm not going on government health insurance. I just don't believe in that stuff. But it's I really hope people start waking up and are willing to give the smaller guys a chance, because we deserve it. I mean, there's a lot of hard working ones out here, and they deserve it. And I mean, some of these other guys, there's just a story that broke. Guy farms up in Gallatin. Last I knew, he was farming 50,000 acres, multi-million-dollar crop insurance fraud. He's supposed to be getting 30 years in jail. Good for him. I mean, he deserves it. But how many people's lives has he literally destroyed because it's just not enough? And I just hope people start realizing that. My goal, personally, I'd love to double the size of the farm. So we've kind of been stagnant for 30 years. And I would love to somehow buy another 900 acres. I might not ever have kids. Somebody's going to get real lucky if they're willing to work for me, if that happens. But, I mean, my goal is to double the size of the farm. And that's just to be sustainable in this environment we have. And self-supporting. If I don't start getting some more ground, it's going to be real tough. Dad passes away. Don't know what the shape of the farm's in. I mean, I'm afraid I'm going to have to pay a lot of taxes for inheritance tax. So, I'll keep everything, but I don't need to have a $500,000 inheritance tax. on this place, and I mean that would farther prohibit growth. And you don't always have to grow every year. Um, some guys think you do. I mean, we are a business, but uh, a little bit of growth every year is nice. But when it's an extreme amount of growth, it's it puts a lot of strain on things. And I think most understand that. But um, yeah, I wish people would start to wake up and realize there's somebody else out here other than a BTO, big time operator, somebody farming 4 or 5 thousand acres, and you know those guys don't realize what they're actually doing to their neighbors when they start just going after every piece of ground they can get. And I believe we need to be neighborly to each other too. And sometimes it's hard to do when people just think they got to have it all. So I I mean I might make another part about this at some point, but that's kind of my thoughts for tonight. And yeah, so people just think before you rent it out to somebody, and do some checking in. You never know, that small guy might be